So I'd like to talk with you now about the financial picture of the church since we have been not meeting in person. Donations from membership have been way down since the beginning of COVID. And I realize there may be a number of reasons for that. Firstly, a global pandemic leaves everyone feeling a little bit uneasy and unsure about the future. So that may be part of the reason why donations are down. It may also be because when we're meeting for in-person worship, it's just so convenient. The offering plate is passed and it's just easy to put something in, a lot easier than putting a check in the mail or arranging an ACH transfer from your bank or using the Givelify app or whatever other means you might want to donate and fulfill your tithes to the church. So we don't know all the reasons, I'm sure, and it may be different for each person, but donations from the membership are down. However, space sharing fees are up. That's right. We have been receiving income from our space sharers who have been using the building. Over a 6-month span of time from April to September, we collected more than $7,000 in fees from our space sharers. So that is going up. So that is good news. We did have a stewardship campaign for the 2020 year during the month of June, and we had 16 units pledge more than $50,000 for the 2020 year. So, that was great. That's probably about half of our giving units. So there were some who chose not to participate in that stewardship campaign. Again, it may be because of just the uncertainty of what's going on in this pandemic year, but there's still time if you would like to make a pledge. And of course, we'll receive any of your donations that you'd like to send in at any time. Early in the pandemic, the personnel committee and the trustees kind of worked together in tandem to apply for the PPP or Paycheck Protection Program from the Small Business Association. We did not get in on that first round that happened, but we did get in on the second round, and that was really extremely helpful because the amount that we applied for and received from the PPP program sustained our staff's salaries and all of the associated expenses for 2.5 months and took us all the way through the end of August supporting our staff. So that was a really wonderful gift. The technology grant, yes, that's right. We received a grant from the Center for Congregations called Connect Through Tech grant. And this was a grant that they just offered to congregations in the state of Indiana through the Lilly Foundation. And we did receive $5,000 from this grant program. And the purpose of the program is to supplement our technological resources that we need in order to be able to do virtual church worship and activities, and also to support when we return to in-person worship, how we can also continue to live stream our services and continue to do our ministries after the pandemic is over. So the trustees put together an application that included some things that we've already accomplished, such as extending Wi-Fi throughout the building with our thick concrete walls and our steel frame and everything. It's very difficult for Wi-Fi to get throughout the building. So we upgraded our Wi-Fi and it now covers the whole usable space of the building. This not only will make it possible for us to live stream services from the sanctuary when we return to in-person worship, and it will also help our space sharers to be a more attractive space for people to use for their businesses or their studio space or whatever. So it will be it'll be helpful for that as well. So we've already done that. We've already accomplished that work, extending the Wi-Fi throughout the building. We've also ordered new cameras. I'm using one of my new cameras right now. Some cabling, a tripod, all of these kinds of things have already been purchased as well. We have purchased some software and some licensing so that we can use music in our YouTube worship services and that kind of thing. There's still a lot of things that we have not been able yet to purchase, and a lot of that has to do just with the demand right now. There's an extremely high demand for the same kind of products that we're wanting to buy, everybody else is wanting to buy right now, because everybody in the whole wide world is going to virtual and online activities and so on. And so it's just really challenging right now to get what you need. Of course, if you're willing to pay double the regular price, you can buy it used, but we're waiting until the inventory is replenished and products are available. So, and the folks from the Center for Congregations who gave us this grant are fine with that. If we need to make some changes to what we asked for, they are fine with that because they understand that the demand is really high right now. We also received another $5,000 grant. This one is from the Myrtle Collaboration Group. This was one that we were recommended to receive this grant from First Presbyterian Church. They received it and they were asked, do you know of any other groups in your community who might benefit from this grant? And they recommended us. Isn't that nice? So we received a $5,000 grant from them. And the purpose of this grant is to hire a grant writer, which will help us in the future for our fundraising needs. I have spoken with a few different grant writers about their availability and their ideas for helping us. And one in particular, who has written a book on grant writing, actually, has offered to train us, like start a grant writing group in the congregation and kind of coach us on grant writing. And I think that's a really neat idea, because if we know how to write our own grants, then that will help us even more into the future. If we hire a grant writer to write 1 or 2 grants, that's great for short term. But if we know how to write our own grants, and if she coaches us on how to do that, then that will just help us even more in the future. So if you're interested in being a part of that group and would like to learn how to write grants, let me know, because we will be doing that soon. We are still receiving money from the Indiana region in support of Nancy's position. You may recall that as part of the grant that we received to help pay for the air conditioner from the National Trust for Historic Preservation and the National Sacred Spaces group, that the Indiana region pitched in $50,000 total to support Nancy's position for 3 years. She just began her 2nd year with us on September 3rd, and we have received money to support her position already in 2020. We did receive from the Disciples Mission Fund a recognition of our giving to mission for the past year. And I know that we advertised that widely on our e-news and in our Inspirer and other places. So I know that you got to see that, but that's always very exciting that a small congregation such as ours is recognized for our generosity and our per capita giving fairly consistently year after year. And that's really great to be a part of a congregation that is that generous. So very exciting. Our permanent funds, I know there's a lot of anxiety about our permanent funds because 2020 has been kind of a crazy year in the market with a lot of volatility. Right now, our permanent funds are looking very solid and are doing well. With the market, you just never know. Things go up, things go down, things go all around. But right now, they're looking really solid, and we're very pleased with how 2020 has been for us overall with our permanent funds. The biggest news that I want to share with you in regards to our finances is that the trustees have hired an auditor to do an audit. And she's doing 10 years from 2010 to 2020. And she and her team, I should say, because she's got a whole group of people that work with her. As she describes it, they are up to their knees in our files and paperwork and so on for the past 10 years. And she's really getting to know, she and her team are really getting to know our financial picture very thoroughly. Our goal, our hope, our expectation is that before the end of 2020, she will be done with her work. And we will have the outcome of this audit. I hate to give a promise to that because you know how these things are, but that's what she's really striving for and hoping for, and her team is working toward. So we're hopeful by the end of December, we will have completed this thorough audit of the past 10 years. In addition to completing the audit, she and her team, because of the fact that when they're done with this, they're going to know more about our financial picture than anybody. They are also helping us to revise our chart of accounts, which is fantastic. We have been wanting to have our chart of accounts revised for a couple of years now. And every time we think we have somebody to help us, it just doesn't pan out. But I spoke with the auditor about this, and she said it makes a lot of sense for them to do that in conjunction with this, because they will be very clear on what all of our different moving pieces and parts are, and better equipped to create a new chart of accounts for us than anybody else possibly could. So yay, finally, we're going to have that revised. In addition, she is going to work with our church Windows software that we already have. She's familiar with it, and work with our staff to do some training with the new chart of accounts that they're going to create for us, and create some reports that will capture our full financial picture so that everybody can feel like they know all pieces and parts of our financial picture. So she's actually interested in learning what kinds of reports we want to see so that they can create those reports in the church Windows software for us. So that's a little bit of information, actually a lot of information about our financial picture during COVID. And I hope that this information has been helpful. I know that there are a lot of you that have had a lot of anxiety about this. So I hope that after hearing all of this, that it puts your minds at ease, that things are well. Things are well. Take care.